The entire Gorn Empire fleet sped away from Sol at max acceleration, engines straining, the Emperor's tail tucked firmly between his legs. Dr. Jason Walker gazed up at the sky and smirked. Activating that progenitor defense grid on Mars had flipped the script, going from imminent invasion and enslavement to the mightiest power in the galaxy running, scared in a matter of minutes. But it sure as hell hadn't been easy. Just 2 days ago, Jason had been in a frantic race against ruthless Earth megacore and tyrannical governments to uncover the grid's secrets first. They all sought to control it for their own selfish ends, while 7.5 billion lives hung in the balance. Aided by Pollux, a guilt-ridden Gorn defector, and a rebel team of explorers and scientists, Jason had stormed the ancient Martian facility. What they found inside was staggering. The defense grid was a last-ditch superweapon, built by the long-vanished progenitors to counter the cruel Gorn Empire that had crushed them and now sought galactic domination. With Gorn warships already poised to strike, Jason's team took a desperate gamble. They brought the grid online, and its unimaginable weapons tore the invading fleet to shreds. Earth was safe for the moment, but the activation had revealed the existence of aliens and dangers beyond imagining. At the same time, the planet remained rife with inequality and oppression. To survive against the looming threats amidst the stars, humanity would need to confront its own demons and stand united as never before. The Gorn may have fled, tail between legs, but this was only the opening skirmish. The battle for Earth's future and humanity's cosmic destiny had barely begun. The progenitor defense grid lay dormant once more, its ancient machinery humming with the fading echoes of unimaginable power. In the deafening silence that followed, Jason Walker stood on the Martian sands, his gaze fixed on the stars above. The Gorn had fled, but the reprieve was temporary. Earth had been granted a stay of execution, nothing more. Around the world, chaos erupted as news of the alien encounter spread like wildfire. Riots consumed major cities, governments teetered on the brink of collapse, and old rivalries reignited in the face of an uncertain future. In New York, the United Nations convened an emergency session, the chamber echoing with accusations and recriminations. Secretary General Rahim Singh stood at the podium, his face a mask of tightly controlled anger. The actions of Dr. Jason Walker and his team were reckless and unsanctioned, Singh declared, his voice booming through the hall. They have exposed our world to unimaginable dangers and placed the fate of humanity in the hands of a few unaccountable individuals. This cannot stand. Thousands of miles away, in the gleaming towers of Olympus Technologies, Lucius Thorne watched the proceedings with a predatory smile. The defense grid represented an opportunity beyond imagining, and he would not let it slip through his fingers. "Dispatch Fire Team Omega to Mars," Thorne ordered, his eyes glinting with cold ambition. "Secure the progenitor facility at any cost. Use of force is authorized." As Thorne's heavily armed mercenaries boarded a sleek transport bound for Mars, a different kind of visitor arrived on Earth. The Lyrinian starship sliced through the atmosphere, its graceful lines and shimmering hull drawing awestruck gazes from all who beheld it. Ambassador Zar emerged from the vessel, her lithe form clad in flowing robes of shimmering silk. She raised a slender hand in greeting, her voice ringing out across the gathered crowd. "People of Earth," Zara began, her tone grave yet filled with compassion. "I come bearing a warning and an offer of aid. The Gorn will not forgive the humiliation you have dealt them. Even now, they gather their strength for a terrible vengeance." On Mars, Jason Walker pored over the data extracted from the progenitor archives, his brow furrowed in concentration. The secrets of the defense grid were tantalizingly close, but still maddeningly out of reach. Pollux, the towering Gorn defector, loomed over Jason's shoulder, his reptilian eyes narrowed in thought. "The shipyards of Titan," he rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. "One of the keys lies there, in the ruins of the progenitor's last stand." Jason nodded grimly, his mind racing with the implications. But before he could respond, the ground shook with the impact of high-yield explosives. "Incoming!" Jason shouted, diving for cover as Olympus mercenaries poured into the compound, their weapons spitting fire. Outnumbered and outgunned, Jason and his team fought a desperate retreat, the Martian sands erupting around them as they fled into the crimson wastes. Behind them, the progenitor facility fell to the onslaught, its secrets now in the hands of Olympus and the UN. As the battle raged, Admiral Koth brooded in the darkness of his battered warship, hidden amidst the asteroid belt. His talons clenched in rage, he snarled a vow of vengeance against the humans who had humiliated him. He would see their world burn, even if it meant his own destruction. On Earth, Ambassador Zara addressed the UN Security Council, her voice filled with quiet urgency. "The Gorn invasion is coming," she warned, her gaze sweeping across the gathered dignitaries. "But there is hope. Dr. Jason Walker has shown that humanity has the strength and ingenuity to stand against the darkness. I believe he is the key to Earth's survival." Her words sparked a firestorm of debate, the chamber erupting into a cacophony of shouted arguments and bitter accusations. Secretary Singh called for Jason's arrest, branding him a traitor and a rogue element. But others, swayed by Zara's impassioned plea, rallied to his defense. Amidst the chaos, Jason and his battered team regrouped in a hidden rebel base on Mars, their faces grim with drive. They had escaped Olympus, but the fight was a long way to go. The secrets of Titan beckoned, promising the key to unlocking the full might of the defense grid. But the road ahead was fraught with peril. Olympus and the UN sought to control the grid for their own ends, while the Gorn Armada gathered at the edges of the solar system, poised to strike. And in the shadows, ancient secrets and hidden agendas threatened to unravel everything Jason fought for. The battle for Earth had only just begun, and the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Jason and his team would need every ounce of skill, courage, and tenacity to unravel the mysteries of the progenitors and forge a path to victory. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. The road to humanity's salvation would be paved with sacrifice and the unbreakable bonds of unity. Jason Walker's boots crunched on the icy surface of Titan as he gazed up at the swirling orange haze that blanketed Saturn's largest moon. The distant sun, a mere pinprick of light, cast an eerie glow across the alien landscape. "Pollux, how much further to the shipyard?" Jason's voice crackled through the comm system of his exosuit. The massive Gorn defector lumbered beside him, his own suit custom-fitted to accommodate his reptilian frame. "Not far," Pollux rumbled. "The methane sea lies just beyond that ridge." As they crested the hill, a vast expanse of liquid hydrocarbons stretched out before them, its surface rippling with alien waves. But it was what floated above the sea that took Jason's breath away. Silhouetted against Titan's hazy sky, a fleet of derelict ships hung motionless in low orbit. Their sleek lines and graceful curves spoke of an advanced civilization, one that had long since vanished from the cosmos. "Progenitor vessels," Pollux confirmed, his voice filled with awe. "I never thought I'd see one with my own eyes." Jason keyed his comm, addressing the rest of the team waiting in their ship. "We've found them. Prepare for EVA. We're going aboard." Minutes later, Jason and Pollux drifted through the void towards the nearest derelict. Up close, the ship's hull bore the scars of ancient battles, testimony to the fall of the progenitors. They located an airlock and cycled through, emerging into a cavernous chamber, bathed in the soft glow of emergency lighting that had endured for millennia. "By the Emperor's scales," Pollux breathed, his reptilian eyes wide. "It's all intact." Jason moved deeper into the ship, his helmet's sensors cataloging the wealth of advanced technology surrounding them. In the ship's command center, he found what they'd been searching for, a holographic projector that flickered to life at his touch. A star map blossomed before them, pinpoints of light representing defense grid installations scattered across the galaxy. Jason's heart raced as he began the data transfer to his suit's computer. The sound of weapons fire shattered the silence. "We've got company," shouted Kira, the team's security expert, over the comm. "Olympus mercs, at least a dozen. They're breaching the airlock." Jason's mind raced. "Pollux, grab what you can. We need to move." They sprinted through the ancient corridors as the staccato of gunfire grew closer. Rounding a corner, they came face to face with a squad of black-clad Olympus soldiers, led by a man whose scarred face contorted into a cruel smile. "Dr. Walker," Silas Hawk drawled, raising his pulse rifle. I believe you have something that belongs to us. Pollux roared, charging forward with surprising speed for his bulk. The narrow corridor erupted in chaos as both sides exchanged fire in the zero-gravity environment. Jason ducked and weaved, using the progenitor ship's strange architecture as cover. A stray shot grazed his suit, venting precious oxygen. Warning klaxons blared in his helmet as he returned fire, downing one of Hawk's men. "The airlock's clear!" Kira's voice cut through the din. "Fall back now!" Jason turned to retreat, but a pained bellow stopped him cold. Pollux slumped against a bulkhead, dark blood oozing from a wound in his side. "Go!" the Gorn snarled, firing his weapon one-handed to cover Jason's escape. "I'll hold them off!" Heart heavy, Jason sprinted for the airlock. He cycled through and launched himself back towards their ship, Olympus pulse fire sizzling past him in the vacuum. The team's vessel detached from the derelict just as Hawk's troops emerged from the airlock in pursuit. With a burst from its engines, it plunged into Titan's thick atmosphere, using the moon's haze as cover. In the ship's medbay, Pollux lay on a gurney, his breathing labored. "The map!" he gasped. "Did you get it?" Jason nodded grimly, examining the data on a nearby console. His face fell. "It's incomplete. The transfer was interrupted." Pollux's eyes closed in pain. Whether from his wound or the setback, Jason couldn't tell. "There's something you need to know," the Gorn said, his voice barely above a whisper. As Pollux spoke, revealing the terrible truth about the progenitor's fate and the threat posed by Logos and his descendants, Jason felt the weight of responsibility settle even more heavily on his shoulders. With his final breath, Pollux urged them onward. "Find the homeworld," he rasped. "It's our only hope." The Gorn's eyes dulled, and Jason bowed his head in grief. But there was no time to mourn. The console beeped urgently, displaying a priority message from Earth. Jason's blood ran cold as he read the report. Admiral Koth's invasion fleet had arrived. He turned to his battered team, perseverance etched on his face. "We need to repair this map and find that homeworld. It's not just Earth at stake anymore. The fate of the entire galaxy rests in our hands." The ship lurched as it entered Titan's thick atmosphere, alarms blaring throughout the cockpit. Jason gripped the controls, fighting to keep the vessel level as they plummeted towards the icy surface. "We've got company," Kira shouted, her eyes fixed on the radar display. 3 Olympus shuttles on our 6. Jason's eyebrows furrowed as he wrestled with the unfamiliar progenitor technology. "Hang on!" he yelled, sending the ship into a steep dive. They skimmed over a vast methane sea, the orange liquid churning beneath them. Pulse fire erupted from behind, sizzling past the cockpit. One shot clipped their starboard engine, sending them into a wild spin. Jason fought for control, leveling out just in time to see a massive ice formation looming ahead. "Brace for impact!" he roared, yanking hard on the controls. The ship scraped along the jagged ice, metal screaming as it tore. They careened into a narrow crevasse, tumbling end over end before coming to rest in a subterranean grotto. Silence fell, broken only by the hiss of escaping coolant and the groans of his battered team. Jason shook his head, clearing the fog of impact. "Status report!" Dr. Nala Vance, their xenoarchaeologist, was already hunched over a flickering console. "The ship's done for," she reported grimly. "But the data core is intact. I'm starting analysis on the star map fragments now." Outside, the sound of Olympus shuttles echoed through the ice. Jason turned to Kira. "Set up a perimeter. We need to buy Nala time." Hours crawled by as Nala worked feverishly, her fingers flying over alien interfaces. The team huddled around portable heaters, the bitter cold of Titan seeping through their environmental suits. Suddenly, Nala's eyes widened. "I've got it!" she exclaimed. "The homeworld, it's in the Kepler system." Before Jason could respond, the grotto shook with the impact of high-yield explosives. Ice and rocks showered down as Silas Hawk's voice boomed through a megaphone. "Dr. Walker, we have you surrounded. Surrender the map data, or we'll bury you alive." Jason's mind raced. "Nala, grab what you can. Everyone else, prepare to move out. We're going deeper." They plunged into a labyrinth of icy tunnels. the roar of Olympus weapons fire echoing behind them. Kira took point, her rifle sweeping each intersection for threats. A tremor rocked the passage and a section of ceiling collapsed. When the dust settled, Jason's heart sank. Nala was trapped on the other side, cut off from the group. "Go!" she shouted through the rubble. "I'll find another way." Agonized, Jason made the call. "We'll come back for you, I swear it." They pressed on, eventually emerging onto a vast underground sea of liquid methane. Strange bioluminescent creatures drifted beneath the surface, casting an eerie glow. "There!" Kira pointed to a maintenance hatch set into the far wall. "That must lead to the Olympus base." Jason nodded grimly. Time to go fishing for a xenoarchaeologist. Under the cover of a raging methane storm, they infiltrated the base. Dressed in stolen maintenance coveralls, they moved through the corridors, every step fraught with tension. They found Nala strapped to an interrogation chair, her face bruised but defiant. Constantine, Thorne's enforcer, loomed over her with a cruel smile. "Last chance, Doctor," he growled. "Tell me what you found, or things get unpleasant." Jason stepped forward, dropping his disguise. "Let's make a deal, Constantine. The map data for our safe passage off this rock." Constantine's eyes narrowed. "Walker, I should have known you'd try something this stupid." He raised his weapon. "Olympus doesn't make deals. We take what we want." The room exploded into chaos as alien energy weapons tore through the walls. Lyrinian Marines poured in, their lithe forms moving with deadly grace. "This way!" shouted a familiar voice. Ambassador Zara stood in the breach, gesturing urgently. In the confusion, Jason freed Nala. They sprinted for the exit, pulse fire sizzling past their heads. But as they reached the Lyrinian dropship, a stray shot caught Jason in the leg. He stumbled, crying out in pain. "Go!" he shouted to Nala. "I'll find another way." Before she could protest, the dropship's hatch slammed shut. Jason limped away, ducking into a service tunnel as Olympus forces converged on his position. He emerged near the abandoned progenitor shipyard, his leg throbbing with each step. A small scout ship sat on a decaying launch pad, its systems humming with latent energy. Jason dragged himself into the cockpit, praying he could decipher the alien controls. As Olympus ships appeared on the horizon, he punched in the partial coordinates from the map data and engaged the hyperdrive. Reality twisted, and Titan vanished in a blur of impossible colors. When the view stabilized, Jason's breath caught in his throat. A graveyard of shattered planets and twisted metal stretched as far as the eye could see. And there, floating serenely amidst the devastation, was a world unlike any he had ever seen. Massive geometric structures covered its surface, pulsing with otherworldly energy. The progenitor homeworld. As Jason guided the ship towards the alien sphere, warning klaxons blared. Something was very, very wrong with this place, and he was about to find out what. Jason's fingers danced across the alien controls, desperately trying to stabilize the progenitor scout ship as it plummeted towards the shattered surface below. Warning klaxons blared, the cockpit bathed in flickering red light. "Nala," he shouted over the din, "brace for impact." The xenoarchaeologist gripped her crash harness, eyes wide as the ground rushed up to meet them. With a bone-jarring crunch, the ship slammed into a field of twisted metal and crystalline debris. It skidded across the ruined landscape before coming to rest against a towering obelisk of alien design. Silence fell, broken only by the hiss of escaping coolant and the groan of stressed metal. Jason's head throbbed as he fumbled with his harness release. "Nala, you okay?" A muffled groan answered him. "Alive," she managed, "though I think I left my stomach somewhere back in orbit." They extricated themselves from the wreckage, emerging onto a hellscape of devastation. The sky above churned with sickly clouds, casting an eerie glow over the ruins of a once mighty civilization. In the distance, shattered megastructures reached towards the heavens like the fingers of a skeletal hand. "My God," Nala breathed, "what happened here?" Before Jason could respond, a low rumble shook the ground. They turned to see an Olympus dropship descending through the roiling clouds, pulse cannons already charging. Move, Jason shouted, grabbing Nala's arm. They sprinted across the debris field, ducking behind a fallen pillar as energy bolts sizzled past. Over there! Nala pointed to a half-buried structure, its reinforced doors hanging askew. They made a mad dash for the entrance, diving inside just as another barrage of weapons fire erupted behind them. The interior was dark, illuminated only by flickering emergency lights. As their eyes adjusted, they found themselves in a vast chamber, filled with dormant machinery and holographic displays. Some kind of command center, Jason mused, running his hand over a control panel. It hummed to life at his touch, alien symbols scrolling across the screen. Nala's eyes widened. Jason, look! A figure emerged from the shadows, humanoid in shape but clearly artificial. Its metallic skin gleamed dully in the low light, and its eyes glowed with an inner radiance. Greetings, humans, it intoned, its voice a melodic blend of tones. I am Archon, sentinel of this facility. What brings you to our ruined world? Jason and Nala exchanged glances before Jason stepped forward. We're here seeking answers, he said, about the progenitors, about Logos, and about a weapon that could turn the tide of a war. Archon's eyes pulsed. You speak of matters long buried. Come, there is much to show you. As they followed the android deeper into the complex, the sounds of battle echoed from above. Gorn warships engaged Olympus cruisers in the skies over the dead world, their weapons fire illuminating the ruins in stark flashes of light. Archon led them to a circular chamber dominated by a massive holographic projector. With a gesture, the android activated the device, and a galaxy blazed to life before them. Behold, Archon intoned, the fall of an empire. The hologram zoomed in on a star system, focusing on a world of gleaming cityscapes and orbiting megastructures. But as they watched, the image changed. Vast fleets appeared, weapons of unimaginable power unleashed. The beautiful world crumbled, its surface scoured clean by apocalyptic energies. Logos, Nala whispered. He did this to his own people? Archon nodded solemnly. Driven mad by ambition, he sought to claim all knowledge for himself. When the Council opposed him, he activated failsafes in the defense grid, turning our own protectors against us. The hologram shifted again, showing the desperate flight of Ark ships carrying the last progenitor survivors. One such vessel streaked towards a familiar yellow star. Your solar system, Archon explained. A sanctuary hidden behind a dormant defense grid. Jason's mind raced. But now the Gorn have found it. They're finishing what Logos started. Not if we can stop them, Nala insisted. She turned to Archon. The Annihilator. Where is it? The android's eyes dimmed. A weapon of last resort, hidden away lest it fall into the wrong hands. Its location was known only to the Progenitor High Council. Then how do we find it? Jason demanded. Archon gestured and the hologram changed once more. A complex series of star charts and esoteric symbols filled the air around them. These are the keys, the android said. Decipher them, and you will unlock the path to the Annihilator. Suddenly, the chamber shook violently. Dust and debris rained down as the sounds of weapons fire grew closer. We're out of time, Jason growled. He turned to Nala. Can you download that data? She nodded, already interfacing her handheld computer with the holographic controls. Working on it. Archon's eyes pulsed urgently. You must hurry. If Logos's heirs claim the Annihilator, all will be lost. The chamber rocked again, and part of the ceiling collapsed. Through the breach, they could see Gorn dropships descending, disgorging squads of heavily armed troops. Nala? Jason called, drawing his sidearm. Almost there, she shouted back. A reptilian roar echoed through the ruins. Jason's blood ran cold as he recognized the voice. Walker, Admiral Koth bellowed. I know you're here. Face me and die with honor. Nala's computer chimed. Got it! Jason grabbed her arm, pulling her towards a half-hidden emergency exit. Time to go! As they fled deeper into the labyrinth of progenitor ruins, the sounds of battle raged above. Gorn and Olympus forces clashed in the skies, and on the ground, neither side willing to let the secrets of this dead world slip from their grasp. Jason and Nayla raced through twisting corridors, searching for a way off this shattered planet before it became their tomb. But with every step, the weight of the universe's hope pressed down upon them. Somewhere in this cosmic graveyard lay a weapon that could end the war or destroy everything they had ever known. Jason and Nala raced through the winding corridors of the ruined progenitor complex, the sounds of battle echoing behind them. Sweat beaded on Jason's forehead as he pushed through the pain in his injured leg. "This way," Nala called, gesturing towards a half-collapsed passageway. They squeezed through the narrow opening, emerging into a vast chamber filled with dormant machinery and flickering holographic displays. As they caught their breath, a faint energy signature caught Nala's attention. She approached a control panel, her fingers dancing across the alien interface. "Jason, look at this," she whispered. The floor rumbled, and a section of the far wall retracted, revealing a hidden elevator shaft. Without hesitation, they stepped inside. The platform descended rapidly, plunging them deep beneath the planet's scarred surface. When the doors hissed open, they found themselves in an immense underground archive. Rows of crystalline data storage units stretched as far as the eye could see, pulsing with soft blue light. "Incredible," Nala breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. She approached the nearest terminal, interfacing her handheld computer. "These are holographic records. They might tell us more about the Annihilator." As Nala worked, Jason kept watch, his weapon at the ready. Suddenly, a shimmering figure materialized before them. A holographic progenitor, its features regal and alien. "Greetings, Seekers," the projection intoned. "You have accessed the final testament of the High Council. What you seek was never meant for our hands, but as a last defense against the madness of Logos." The hologram shifted, showing a sleek vessel unlike anything Jason had ever seen. Its hull rippled with strange energies, overflowing with weapons of incomprehensible power. "The Annihilator," Jason whispered. Before they could learn more, an explosion rocked the archive. Dust and debris rained down as the sounds of weapons fire grew closer. "They've found us," Jason shouted. "We need to move." They sprinted through the labyrinth of data storage, following a faint energy signature. At last, they emerged into a vast hangar, and there it was, the Annihilator itself, waiting silently in its berth. As they approached the vessel, a familiar voice rang out. "End of the line, Walker!" Silas Hawke emerged from behind a pillar, flanked by his elite mercenaries, their weapons trained on Jason and Nayla. "The Annihilator belongs to Olympus," Hawke snarled. "Step away or I'll ventilate that pretty skull of yours." Jason's mind raced, searching for a way out. Suddenly, the ship's boarding ramp lowered with a soft hiss. "Now!" Jason shouted, shoving Nala towards the ramp. They sprinted up the incline as pulse fire erupted around them. The ship's interior was a maze of alien technology. Jason slammed his hand on what he hoped was the door control, and the ramp retracted just as Hawke's team reached it. "How do we fly this thing?" Nala asked, her eyes scanning the incomprehensible controls. Before Jason could respond, the ship lurched. Outside, Hawke's forces were laying waste to the hangar with heavy weapons. "No time to figure it out," Jason growled. He jabbed at a promising-looking console, and the ship hummed to life. The Annihilator rose from its berth, its strange engines pulsing with otherworldly energy. As they cleared the hangar, the sky above erupted with weapons fire. A massive Gorn warship loomed overhead, Admiral Koth's flagship. "Nala, see if you can get a distress call out," Jason ordered, wrestling with the ship's arcane controls. "We need backup." As Nala worked, Jason's blood ran cold. Behind Koth's flagship, a colossal structure was taking shape, a planet-sized ring that could only be the beginnings of a Dyson sphere. "This is Dr. Nala Vance," Nala's voice crackled over the comms. "Mayday, Mayday! We've secured the Annihilator, but we're under heavy fire. Request immediate assistance." The message fragmented as Koth's forces opened fire. Jason banked hard, narrowly avoiding a barrage of energy beams. "We can't keep this up," he muttered. "We need to find somewhere to regroup." As if in answer, a new voice echoed through the ship's systems. "Pilot detected. Initiating quantum link." The controls beneath Jason's hands shifted, becoming more responsive. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing the ship's true capabilities. "My God," Nala gasped. "Jason, look at these readings. The power this thing is putting out, it's beyond anything we've ever seen." Jason's eyes widened as he took in the ship's arsenal. Space-time warping technology, antimatter weapons, the power to annihilate entire star systems. "We can't let Koth get his hands on this," Jason said grimly. "But we can't use it either, not without understanding what we're dealing with." As if in response to his thoughts, a new energy signature appeared on the scanners. It pulsed with a familiar rhythm, guiding them towards the planet's far side. "What do you think?" Nala asked, her voice tense. Jason considered for a moment, then made his decision. "We follow it. Whatever's calling us might be our only chance to stop Koth." He engaged the Annihilator's main drive, and the shattered progenitor homeworld fell away behind them. As they raced towards the unknown signal, Jason could only hope they weren't flying into an even deadlier trap. The unknown signal led Jason and Nala to a hidden progenitor outpost on the far side of the shattered planet. As they docked the Annihilator, a holographic interface materialized before them. "Genetic profile recognized. Activating quantum link," the AI intoned. Suddenly, Jason felt a surge of information flood his mind. The ship's controls became an extension of his thoughts, its vast arsenal now at his fingertips. I can feel it," he gasped. "The power, it's incredible." Nala's eyes widened as she scanned the readouts. "Jason, these weapons, they could annihilate entire star systems." A unshakable focus settled over Jason's features. "Then let's use them to end this war." They emerged from the outpost to find Admiral Koth's forces in disarray, still searching for their prize. Jason engaged the Annihilator's main drive, and they rocketed towards the heart of the Gorn fleet. The ship's quantum lances lashed out, slicing through Gorn warships like paper. Antimatter torpedoes detonated in silent fury, leaving nothing but debris in their wake. The Annihilator phased through enemy fire, untouchable and unstoppable. As they pressed their assault, Jason spotted the massive structure taking shape beyond the planet, the beginnings of a Dyson sphere. "We need to take that out," he growled, banking the Annihilator towards the colossal struts. They wove through the partially assembled megastructure, the ship's weapons tearing apart key components. Koth's forces scrambled to respond, but their weapons were ineffective against the Annihilator's phase-shifting defenses. Just as victory seemed within reach, alarms blared through the ship. A barrage of missiles pierced their sensor grid, launched from a familiar vessel. "Hawk!" Nala hissed, recognizing the mercenary's ship. One of the projectiles struck home, its warhead unleashing a cascading quantum flux that began to tear the Annihilator apart from the inside. "We're losing containment," Nala shouted, her hands flying over the controls. "The core's going critical." Jason's mind raced, searching for a solution. In that moment of desperation, he felt a presence, the ship's AI offering a last terrible option. "Nala, get to the escape pod," he ordered, his voice grim. "I'm going to try something." She hesitated for a moment, then nodded, understanding the unspoken farewell. As Nala's pod ejected, Jason linked his consciousness fully with the ship's systems. "Emergency hyperspace jump," he commanded, even as the Annihilator's hull began to buckle. Space itself seemed to fracture as the ship vanished in a burst of impossible energies. The last thing Jason saw was a blinding flash of light, then darkness. On Earth, the Rebel Alliance, led by Secretary General Singh and Ambassador Zara, launched their counteroffensive. Militia uprisings and army defectors bolstered their ranks as they pushed back against the Gorn invasion. In the heat of battle, a fragmented transmission cut through the chaos. Annihilator. Lost, unknown region. Before anyone could process Jason's dire message, reality itself shattered. A massive hyperspatial rift tore open above Earth's beleaguered cities, disgorging searing gamma radiation that incinerated everything in its path. From this cosmic maelstrom emerged a colossal dreadnought, dwarfing even the largest Gorn vessels. A chilling voice echoed across all frequencies. "I am Logos, reborn. Let the purification of this galaxy begin anew. Earth's defenders could only watch in horror as the resurrected progenitor renegade unleashed devastation upon their world. As cities crumbled and hope dwindled, one thought echoed through the minds of those who knew the truth. Find Jason Walker, find the Annihilator, before it's too late. The resurrected Logos unleashed devastation upon Earth, its colossal dreadnought raining destruction from above. As cities crumbled and hope dwindled, Jason Walker's absence left a gaping void in humanity's defenses. In the chaos of Earth's fall, a fragmented transmission pierced through the static. Cora, alive, Nebula? Secretary General Singh's eyes widened. Trace that signal! Technicians scrambled, their fingers flying across consoles. A holographic display flickered to life, revealing a swirling nebula in uncharted space. It's her cryopod, Nala breathed, studying the readouts. She survived the antimatter explosion. Before anyone could celebrate, alarms blared. Ambassador Zara's voice cut through the command center. Logos's armada has detected the signal. They're converging on Cora's position. Singh's teeth gritted. Prepare for immediate extraction. We cannot let Logos capture her. A ragtag fleet of Earth's remaining ships launched into the void, racing against time. As they neared the nebula's edge, massive energy signatures erupted behind them. Logos's vanguard, Zara reported grimly. They're closing fast. The nebula's swirling gases engulfed their ships, sensors struggling to penetrate the cosmic haze. Nala's voice crackled over the comms. I've got a fix on Cora's pod. Sending coordinates now. As Singh's flagship maneuvered towards the floating cryochamber, Logos's forces unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. The nebula ignited, turning the rescue into a gauntlet of searing plasma. We're not going to make it, a bridge officer shouted. Singh's eyes narrowed. Like hell we're not, he keyed the ship-wide comms. All power to forward shields. We're ramming through. The flagship plowed through the firestorm, its hull groaning under the strain. As they closed on Cora's pod, a tractor beam lashed out, pulling the precious cargo aboard. We've got her, Nala shouted, initiating emergency jump. Just as Logos's dreadnought loomed into view, reality twisted. A spatial rift tore open, born from the gravitational chaos of their desperate maneuver. Before anyone could react, Cora's pod was wrenched free, disappearing into the cosmic maw. Silence fell over the bridge as the rift collapsed. Their one hope of mastering the Annihilator had vanished in an instant. As the remnants of Earth's fleet limped back to their besieged homeworld, Ambassador Zara approached Singh. Her eyes glowed with dedication. There may be another way, she said. The Progenitor Alliance, what's left of it, if we can unite their remnant forces. Singh nodded slowly. We'll need every scrap of advanced tech we can find. Assemble a team. We're going hunting for ghosts. As Earth prepared its defenses, Jason's closest allies split into strike teams. Their mission, to scour the galaxy's fringes for any trace of progenitor technology that might turn the tide. On the desolate world of Nibiru, Nala's team encountered the unexpected. A tribe of cyborg zealots, their bodies a fusion of flesh and salvaged progenitor tech, guarded a secret. The All Code speaks, their leader intoned, gesturing to a pulsing obelisk. It knows of the shipyard hidden in the star's heart. As Nala's team raced to unlock the secrets of Nibiru's sun, Constantine and his Olympus commandos launched their own high-stakes endeavor. Their target, a progenitor command archive buried in Pluto's icy crust. The mission went sideways almost immediately. Gorn survivors, thirsting for vengeance, ambushed the Olympus team. In the ensuing firefight, Constantine found himself cut off, surrounded by snarling Gorn warriors. As the noose tightened around Earth and its allies, all eyes turned to the Telpus system. Amid the shattered remnants of the progenitor homeworld, Jason Walker and his team made their stand. Inside a battered orbital habitat, a fragile alliance took shape. Ambassador Zara's sleek Lyrinian warships docked alongside the remnants of the once mighty Gorn armada. Survival had forged unlikely bedfellows. As Logos's unstoppable force approached, Jason looked out at the assembled fleet. Their numbers were few, their chances slim, but they were all that stood between humanity and extinction. The battle for Earth's future was about to begin. The battle for Earth's future ended before it truly began. Logos's unstoppable armada shattered the Allied defenses, raining destruction upon humanity's homeworld. As cities crumbled and continents burned, Jason Walker made an impossible choice. "All ships, emergency jump!" he barked into the comms. "We're activating Nala's wormhole." Reality twisted as the wormhole generators spun to life. Earth's final defenders threw themselves into the cosmic maw, dragging with them the last remnants of human civilization packed into hastily assembled Ark ships. Jason's salvaged progenitor Dreadnought emerged at the edge of known space, sensors struggling to penetrate the swirling gases of the Sierra Nebula. Behind him, the ragtag fleet of survivors materialized, a fraction of those who had begun the exodus. "Status report," Jason demanded, his voice hoarse. Constantine, the Gorn defector whose tactical brilliance had bought them precious time, stepped forward. "We've lost contact with 30% of the civilian Ark ships. The rest are reporting critical damage." Jason's grip tightened on the command console. "Any sign of pursuit?" "Negative," Constantine replied, "but it's only a matter of time." As if in answer to their fears, proximity alarms blared. A sleek vessel of unfamiliar design sliced through the nebula's haze, weapons primed. "Unidentified vessel," a female voice crackled over the comms. "Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded." Jason tensed, ready to give the order to open fire. But before he could speak, the alien ship's captain continued. "I am Anorak, and if you truly wish to survive Logos's wrath, you'll follow me deeper into the nebula." Exchanging wary glances, Jason and Constantine made their choice. The battered human fleet fell into formation behind Anorak's ship, plunging into the cosmic graveyard of the Sierra Nebula. As they navigated the twisted ruins of ancient space stations and derelict warships, Anorak's story unfolded. Her crew, a patchwork of species from dozens of fallen civilizations, had waged a guerrilla war against Logos for untold centuries. But now, Anorak's hologram flickered before Jason, her alien features set in unwavering commitment. "Your arrival changes everything. The prophecies speak of a final stand against the Purifier. Perhaps you are the ones we've waited for." The nebula's swirling gases parted, revealing a massive construction ringed by shipyards and weapons foundries. Anorak's voice filled with reverence. "Behold the heart of the Progenitor Alliance, our last, best hope." As the Allied fleet docked with the ancient command nexus, a frantic race began. Repair crews swarmed over damaged ships, while others delved into the station's databanks, searching for any advantage against Logos's overwhelming might. Jason found himself in the Nexus's central archive, surrounded by holographic displays filled with progenitor script. His eyes burned from lack of sleep, but he couldn't stop searching. There had to be something. Anything. A file flickered to life, its encryption finally cracked. Jason's breath caught in his throat as he read. "Constantine," he shouted, "I need you to see this." The Gorn officer hurried over, his scaled brow furrowing as he studied the display. "The Halo Array," Jason explained, his voice tight with barely contained hope. "A progenitor superweapon capable of sealing off entire regions of space. If we can find its components—" Constantine nodded grimly. "We might just have a chance of stopping Logos." As recon teams scrambled to follow the array's cryptic trail, alarms blared throughout the station. On the command deck, Anorak's face was etched with dread. "Logos's vanguard," she hissed. "They've found us." Through the nebula's shifting veils, a terrifying sight emerged. A fleet of pitch-black dreadnoughts, their hulls filled with weapons beyond human comprehension. At their head, a familiar figure stood on the command deck, half machine and radiating malevolence. "Attention, vermin!" Admiral Shax's synthesized voice boomed across all frequencies. "Your pitiful resistance ends now. Surrender the human Jason Walker, and perhaps Logos will grant you a swift death. Jason's fist clenched as he stared at the monstrosity Shax had become. With Logos's vanguard closing in and the Halo array still beyond their grasp, time was running out. The final battle for the future of the stars had begun. The final battle for the future of the stars had begun. Jason Walker's eyes darted across the command deck, taking in the grim faces of his allies. The crushing weight of their impossible situation bore down on him, but a spark of desperate hope ignited in his chest. "All ships, form up!" Jason's voice crackled over the comms. "We're initiating Operation Halo?" As Admiral Shax's nightmarish fleet bore down on them, the Alliance's remaining vessels maneuvered into a tight formation around the mobile nexus. The air thrummed with tension as engineers raced to assemble the recovered Halo array components. Explosions rocked the nexus as Shax's vanguard unleashed a relentless barrage. Bulkheads groaned and emergency klaxons wailed. Jason gripped the command console, steadying himself as he watched the Halo's power matrix slowly coming online. "Sir!" a technician shouted over the din. "We're detecting a massive energy buildup in Logos's dreadnought." Jason's heart made. "We're out of time. Initiate the array." The Nexus shuddered as raw energy surged through its systems. A blinding pulse erupted from the heart of their makeshift construction, expanding outward in a subspace shockwave. The sea of stars seemed to ripple as the quantum distortion washed over Logos's armada. For a breathless moment, silence reigned. Then one by one, the pitch-black dreadnoughts began to list, their weapons falling silent. A cheer rose from the Alliance crew, but it was short-lived. Alarms blared as systems across their own fleet overloaded. Ship after ship went dark, leaving only Jason's Nexus and a handful of escorts operational within the tightening quantum stasis field. "Status report," Jason barked. Constantine's scaled fingers flew across his console. "The array worked, but at a cost. We're trapped in here with them, and our power reserves are critical." Before Jason could respond, the view screen flared to life. Logos's monstrous dreadnought loomed before them, unaffected by the array's containment. The abomination that was once Admiral Shax sneered at them from the command deck. "Your parlor tricks cannot save you, Jason Walker," Shax's synthesized voice boomed. "Logos's ascendancy is inevitable. Surrender now, and perhaps you will be granted the honor of joining our new order." Jason's mind raced. With their fleet crippled and the Halo array draining what little power remained, they had only one desperate option left. "All hands, prepare for emergency jettison," Jason shouted. "Rig the primary reactor for cyclonic overload." As his crew scrambled to comply, Jason caught sight of a familiar face on one of the few remaining functional screens. Kaya Vance, her features drawn with exhaustion and defiance, stood before Logos himself on the bridge of his dreadnought. "Your spirit may be unbroken," Logos's inhuman voice reverberated, "but it is ultimately futile. I have unraveled the very fabric of reality. What hope can your primitive species possibly have?" Kaya's response was lost as the Nexus shuddered violently. The primary reactor, now a makeshift singularity bomb, detached from their dying vessel. Jason's fingers danced across the helm controls, bringing their crippled ship about to face Logos's dreadnought. With the last vestiges of their maneuvering power, he set them on a collision course. "All remaining power to forward shields," Jason ordered. "Brace for impact." The Nexus plowed into the swirling vortex of the detonating reactor. Space itself seemed to twist and buckle as the singularity expanded, engulfing both vessels in its inescapable grasp. Even Logos's mastery of quantum mechanics proved powerless against the crushing gravitational forces. As reality distorted around them, Jason caught a final glimpse of Kaya through the maelstrom of energies. Their eyes met across the cosmic divide, a lifetime of shared struggles passing between them in an instant. Then everything went white.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.